As they're sipping drinks somewhere watching us.
Oh, he said he was going to. He said he was going to be doing that.
Yeah, he's got something going on, but
okay.
And so does Maz. They're different. They're not the same thing, I don't think. But
I thought they were the same person. Oh, okay. All right.
Chris, I like that mic setup. How do you get it to hang from the ceiling like that? That's pretty. I can't seem to get that.
I'm using my ESP right now. Don't worry.
That's a
levitation.
Talent. That is a talent for
no,
sure.
actually, Brady, if you look, I have a arm.
Oh,
connected to the wall.
Okay.
Oh, fancy.
So
I'm gonna have to get mine. Let's see if I can get mine to do that. Maybe. No, that's about it right there.
Here, I'll bring the mic completely out of the shot now. No, I'm kidding. It's got to stay relatively close.
I like the mic in the pick. It's nice.
And Brady, you're doing happy hour, right?
Yep. Oh, I'm doing happy hour all night.
And John is participating in happy hour. So
all right.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
He's got a great
MJ, in the intros, do we say where everyone's from, or should I do that as well?
No, you can do what you want with happy hour. It's all yours, man.
Alrighty. That's dangerous.
I agree, but I'm going to let it happen anyway.
Alrighty.
Oh, and I have.
We got a couple minutes here before we go.
I have a weather fool and a weather resource.
Good.
Cool. Yeah, I'm doing one sec. I have a weather resource too, obviously. So
excellent.
Okay. All right.
I have one.
We'll go over it again. Yeah, John, you're with us too,
I have
right?
one. White squirrel, baby.
All right.
All right.
Nice.
That's awesome. All right, what do we got? A couple minutes, 2.5 minutes, so we can still yak a little bit if you want.
So, John, do you know anybody on this podcast personally, or?
No.
Nice. Well, no, I mean, nice, not nice. That
Good for you. It's a good thing you don't know.
Sometimes we get people on here because we know the person, and we invite them on. So.
Well, I'm a high energy guest. Will not be bored.
Oh, I know it. I know. I looked at your resume, your bio. I was like, whoa. All right, lots to talk about.
There's lots to talk about.
2 minutes.
Let's see. All right, you guys missed a great Halloween at my house.
Oh yeah.
What happened?
So, I'm gonna have to show some pictures at some point.
Yeah, you might have to. You might have to save that for the podcast. I think the viewers they need to hear it.
Really, you think so? Okay,
I do.
Right.
I think that should be our main focus, actually.
A new discussion topic for tonight.
Yeah, let's switch it up on film.
Back with floods. Let's talk Halloween at Kim's house.
Now, where are you located, Kim? Where are you at?
I'm in Atlanta.
Okay.
So just north of, probably about 30 miles north of the city, in the suburbs.
We used to fly into Dobbins every year and go down the Weather Channel.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, because I know when I was at the Weather Channel that we did a lot of stuff with their hurricane hunters, and Nicole Mitchell was a hurricane. Yep. Did you know Nicole?
Yeah, I flew a bunch with her. Mm-hmm.
And of course Warren Madden.
Yep.
Yeah, we had Warren on not too long ago, so he's a good guy.
Yeah, it was fun. I used to hang out with John Hope. That's how old I am.
Oh, hey, me and you both.
John Hope was the man.
He was the man. Rest in peace, John.
And he worked when he was retired. He came out of retirement. He didn't even get paid.
Yeah, a lot of them do that. He just was something else. He just, I was really trying the Weather
30 seconds.
The Weather Channel to have a wall, like a memorial wall for him at the Weather Channel. I thought that'd be an awesome thing to do since he was the first expert. Really,
the first,
and they just
buildings should be named after.
Didn't want to do it. Buildings, no. I agree, John. Oh my gosh, yep. All
right, ready? Get ready to go. Let's have quiet, everybody, and here we're gonna go. From tornadoes to hurricanes, blizzards, and everything in between, you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. Stormfront Freaks are former television meteorologist Mark Massaro, atmospheric science graduate and skywarn storm spotter Brady Harris, digital meteorologist and weather producer on the Weather Channel app, Dina Knightley, former on-camera meteorologist at the Weather Channel, Kim Cunningham, Emmy-winning storm chaser and photographer, Chris Sanner, and I'm your announcer and Skywarn Network coordinator, Mark Johnson. Now, here's the moderator of the Stormfront Freaks podcast, Skywarn storm spotter and chaser, Phil Johnson. All right, welcome to the most entertaining weather podcast on your listening and viewing device. This is Stormfront Freaks podcast. And for those of you watching our unedited recording, it's Stormfront Freaks Raw. And so be careful. Also welcome to our Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV viewers. We're glad to have you along this evening as well. You've probably noticed I'm not Phil.
Wait, but you're related, aren't you?
I am related, but I'm not him.
You're like a better looking version of Phil.
I'm not commenting on that one. No.
So we're a couple short today, but we got a great crew here that are going to help us out, and a great guest. Phil looked down the bench way at the end and saw me and said, "You maybe want to host it tonight," because he wasn't going to be around. And Maz is playing hooky as well, so we'll say hi to them and carry on. If it's your first time listening, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to catch our most recent episode with Catherine Prosip, weather producer for the Weather Channel's Weather Underground show. Our library also includes shows with social scientist Dr. Laura Myers and storm chasers from Tornado Trackers. Find all of our previous shows on stormfrontfreaks.com or on youtube.com/stormfrontfreaks. Well, tonight, this is episode 39, and our guest is former hurricane hunter and meteorologist in charge of the National Weather Service Louisville office, John Gordon.
Hey, man. Welcome, everybody.
All right.
John.
Welcome.
Great to have you here, John. We'll also be
Thanks,
discussing why flooding deaths have increased over the last 30 years, and while other natural hazard deaths have decreased. And of course, we'll finish the show with our crazy weather fools and our excellent WX resources. So let's carry on here. Brady, you've got happy hour tonight.
You know, it is happy hour. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, and it is officially happy hour here on the Stormfront Freaks podcast. Now, I know I usually say that the Weather Fools is the best segment of the show, but this is the best segment of the show right
There you go.
MJ, let's start off with you all the way up in warm. You know, it's actually warm up in Minnesota right now, isn't it?
It says 34.5 degrees on the weather station. So
That's
call that
pretty
warm if you'd like.
That's balmy. Well,
So,
what are you drinking tonight?
Well, tonight, because it's, some of you know I'm kind of a fan of south of the border beers, and I have my Dos Equis again. It's a Dos Equis Blanco, and sometimes I got to have that when it's cold because I got to think about warm climates.
Yes. Well, I'm a big Dos Equis guy, so love that. Chris, down in Oklahoma City, you guys are getting some severe weather, right? Oh wait, no, that's in a couple months, right?
That's about 4 or 5 months away. Today we actually had a bit of a frontal passage, and the temperatures dropped about 30 degrees.
Exciting,
so that's fun.
exciting.
So tonight I am drinking a little bit of sugar-free apple cider, mixing it up, but I also have my trusty water as usual.
There you go.
There you go. Well, you'll be hydrated, and you might, during the breaks, we might see you go to the bathroom a couple times.
Exactly.
Oh, I hope not.
Anyway, so tonight I'm drinking. Decided to mix it up. I was drinking wine. I think a couple shows in a row. So I'm like, you know what? Let's do a beer. And one of my friends got a Sam Adams Harvest Heffa. Sorry, that's a bit of a bit of a conundrum there. It's I don't really know what kind of beer it is, but it says hazy golden with spicy and sweet notes. And you know what? It's not half bad. I can't really, once again, I can't peg the type of beer, but it's pretty good. So
That's
not
good.
bad.
It's half good. All right,
Yep.
good.
Now, Kim,
Yes.
Kim, what are you drinking down in Atlanta? You drinking another IPA? Or you decided to mix it up?
You guys, I decided I had to mix it up tonight. So look what I have here. I've got a glass of a red blend called Apothic Red. Now, it's not inexpensive. Isn't it wonderful? It's a red blend. It's got like Zinfandel. It's got a bold Cabernet in it, Merlot, Shiraz, just all blended together. And it's wonderful. I absolutely love this. And I decided not to drink a beer because I didn't eat dinner until 8 o'clock. And so I'm full. And you know how it is. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't drink a beer right now. Some wine would be nice. But I had plenty of beer on Halloween. So I'm doing good.
There you go.
Anyway,
There you go, Kim.
That's
There
me.
you go. It's good to switch it up. Wine
It
is a
is.
good, especially, I get the fullness feeling. I would not want to have beer right now.
I am too full.
Yes, I agree. Anyway, so our guest, John, are you drinking something?
Yeah, I thought you were going to invite me to do this too, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Are you
Absolutely.
kidding me? Absolutely. We always invite our guests to do it.
I
What are
mean,
you
I'm
drinking?
a real life hurricane hunter. So if you see the glass, that's our emblem right there. I am drinking a little hurricane hunter with some cranberry and vodka and framboise.
Wow.
Ooh,
Wow.
Wow.
And
nice.
but the drink of choice down at St. Croix, which is our forward operating base in the Caribbean, was a nice margarita at sunset after a 12-hour day flight. That would be very
Ooh.
soothing.
Oh,
that would
yeah.
be-
I bet.
that would be cool. Now, you didn't drink that when you were in the plane, right? That was once
No,
you landed.
No, we had 12 hours before flight. No alcohol, no scuba
Okay.
diving, no blood donation. Not good.
Just making sure. That was your first lightning round question. Yeah, we'll get to that later, but that's about it for
All right.
for happy hour. Actually,
happy
you know what?
hour.
It's always happy hour.
It's
though.
always happy hour. Yep. And a shout out to our viewers on our YouTube Live tonight. They're participating in happy hour too. We got all kinds of things going on with them. Cherry Pepsi, Faust wheat beer.
Oh.
Someone
Man after my own
suggested
heart right there.
50 proof Sam Adams for $200 a bottle. So there you go.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Good to have all of you folks participating with us. So
Yes.
we want to get right to our guest, John Gordon, from meteorologist in charge of the Louisville office, former hurricane hunter. Kim, you're going to introduce and get us started.
All right, love to. All right, so John is currently the meteorologist in charge for the National Weather Service in Louisville, Kentucky. As we said, he's also been with the National Weather Service, by the way, for 22 years, holding a variety of forecast and management positions in Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri, and Tennessee, to include a journeyman forecaster at the Springfield, Missouri office from 94 to 98, to being selected as a lead forecaster at the Nashville, Tennessee office. He then served as meteorologist in charge of the Huntsville, Alabama office beginning in 2002, where he led the spin-up of the new forecast office until reporting to Louisville, where he currently works. Now, prior to the National Weather Service, he served in the Air Force. I love you, John. Both active duty, yes, and also as a reservist. His assignments include serving as a wing weather officer at Tinker Air Force Base, Oklahoma, and a team chief at the European Forecast Unit in Deutschland, in Germany. All right. Sprechen Sie Deutsch? That's what I want to know. Okay, yeah. Drink großes beer. Okay. All right. So also, okay, so most of his career, though, was spent in the reserves as a flight meteorologist for the hurricane hunters out of Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Yeah.
John flew several major hurricanes, including Fran in 96, Brett in 99, Isabel in 03, Francis and Ivan, remember those well, in 04, and Katrina in 05, of course, like the busiest years ever. He has made over 90 penetrating flights since 1995. He is now retired after 20 years. Thank you so much, John, for your service.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Gordon, call you John. All right, John earned his bachelor's degree in meteorology from Park College of St. Louis University in 1986 and earned a master's in teaching of geosciences at Mississippi State University in 2002.
That's
So,
a long
John,
life.
goodness, that's a rich life. I
Wow.
love it. First, thank you so much for joining
Yeah.
us,
Thanks for having me,
blessing us.
gang.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here. This will be fun.
Yeah, thanks for blessing us with your presence. And of course, thank you for your service, not just in the Air Force,
Absolutely.
but your public service. I mean, National Weather Service all those years.
Yeah, it's
So-
been fun.
Yeah.
This is a fun life. Weather's the greatest job in the world. The greatest job in the world.
It always changes. So I'm with you on that, John. And I know a lot of people, and of course they want to hear all about your, hurricane hunter time, but just, if you could just quickly let us know what a meteorologist in charge does. And a lot of people
Well,
are
here's a
like,
little
what does that
humor
mean?
here's a little humor for the group, Kim. MIC, that's what our title is. Basically, MICKEYMOUSE. It's a fancy schmancy title. It's like a janitor's a sanitation engineer. These titles just kill me. Basically, I help lead the office. We have a staff of 23. We work 24/7, round the clock. issuing the warnings, watches with our media partners, emergency managers. We work with the aviation community. We work with the fire weather community, the forestry, the air quality, the hydrology. It's never boring at the office.
No, I guess not. So which of your National Weather Service assignments, which one did you like the best?
What a good question.
I think I had a lot of fun when I was in Springfield, Missouri. We had a lot of weather. I've seen some of the craziest nonsense I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
November 15th, 1995, we were 80 degrees in the eastern part of our area and 35 in thunder sleet. Thunder sleet in Joplin. So we're issuing tornado warnings over by West Plains and Rolla, and there's thunder sleet, which I'd never heard of in my life. I don't know if any of you have or get distinguished guests. That was news to me. Can't make that up, Kim.
No, I know
way.
it. No,
No, John, when you're in a situation like that, do you have someone watching the severe weather and someone watching the winter weather, or is it just kind of a combination of both?
It's a combination of that's a great question, because back then we used to have this giant radar display called the PUP, the Principal User Processor, which is no longer there. One person did all the radar. So all of a sudden I was on radar issuing tornado warnings, and I go, I wonder what that is by Joplin. And and then we got a report of thunder sleet, and I'm like, we need to dedicate some people to that
Oh
problem.
my gosh. Well, you get that crazy stuff there in the Midwest, though. You know, I mean, I definitely.
Yeah.
Wow,
That was
that's
weird.
pretty awesome. I bet.
So
I
John,
bet.
I always like to ask this of anyone on the show. So what got you interested in weather? You know, and when did it start? And
Great
You know,
question, Brady. Yeah,
when
I
did
was
you-
7 years old, man. I'm old. I was born when Lincoln was president, so I've been around a while, you know. I was at the
that wasn't that
inauguration.
long ago. There's
Yeah.
no way.
No, I'm kidding. But anyway, yeah, I was 7 years old, and Tropical Storm Agnes would not die. It would not die. It came into Florida. It came into the Carolinas. It came into Washington. It hit Rochester, New York, Western New York.
Now, where
with-
were you at this time?
I was in the Finger Lakes of Western New York, up by Buffalo, Rochester.
Okay.
Wow.
We got hit with 50-mile-an-hour winds and 17 inches of rain.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, my
And my dad's old black and white Zenith TV, which was very old. I used to hold the rabbit ears for him. But my dad's old Zenith TV, there was a special on the Hurricane Hunters. And I told my parents in 1972, I will do that one day.
Oh,
Wow.
that's so cool, John.
Wow, awesome.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
so I live my dream.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you,
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. You, Chris,
Okay.
go.
Oh, I was just going to ask about the Hurricane Hunters. Like, what would be the most memorable moment you had in the plane? I mean, that's like, let's just start there. Like, what's the biggest thing?
Okay. First of all, let me just tell you this real quick. It's basically you're flying in a storm about 7 hours. You're flying at 180 knots at 10,000 feet, airspeed indicated. Basically flying on the left side of the wind and letting the drift from the wind, the track, push you back to the center. But to answer your question, I lost 3,000 feet in Hurricane Fran,
Oh,
and that will get your attention very
Oh, I
quickly.
Wow.
The storm that I think we made the best difference of all was Katrina. Katrina was really not bad in the eye or the eye wall, but the east side was terrible, very bad. Never seen an east side of a storm as bad as that one. All
What
those
do you mean
feeder
by
bands-
that?
It was, I would say it was moderate to severe turbulence. It was
Okay.
so bad on the feeder bands, 60 miles, 70, 80, 90 miles out from the storm.
Wow.
Those are the ones that came into Pascagoula and Mobile and Orange Beach. So anyway, what I think about that storm is we the Hurricane Hunters work with the Hurricane Center to get the information out, and I better watch what I say because I'll be censored. But the governor of Louisiana and the mayor of Louisiana fumbled on the 1 yard line when they were going to win the Super Bowl. And it was very bad. It was really bad. Our data saved lives. There should have been a lot less lives lost because we gave them on Saturday night, Sunday morning of the 28th, 29th, we gave them 175 knots in the storm.
Wow.
And they had, how many hours would that be? They still had 33 hours to get people out.
Yeah.
And there's no excuse. There's no excuse. So you wanted a lively guest, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Absolutely.
I'm just reminiscing back then.
So
Yeah.
John,
Yeah.
like when you're in the plane, I guess it's just hard for me to fathom, those unbelievable winds, and then you're just flying through it. Like, how does the plane not go down?
Well, we fly these intercardinal headings.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say we took off at Atlanta with Kim. We're taking off out of Dobbins. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say we're going down to Katrina. Let's say it's in the middle of the Gulf. Okay.
Mhm.
So we're going to take a heading that's to the southwest. All right. We're going to go on these intercardinal headings. So we'll come in, we'll descend down to 10,000 feet when we're about 150 miles from the storm. And when we get to 105 point, we got to be down at 10,000 feet. We'll do a heading that's off to the southwest of 225, southwest.
Yeah.
So we'll come in with the wind 90 degrees off the side of the plane, and that will give us the navigator is my best friend over here to my right, and the navigator will give me the heading to get me to the center.
Mm.
A lot of times on actually the hardest mission of all, test mission. That is by far the hardest for a meteorologist, by far. You got to go down there to an area of disturbed weather. I always like that on TV. I think that's fun. I'm not sure what that means.
It's sad. It's very sad weather. It's
upset. It's upset.
Very
sad and upset.
But anyway, you're down to 500 to 1,500 foot off the deck.
Ugh.
Oh my
On a
gosh.
regular hurricane plane, we're at 10,000 feet, and the drift of the wind is pushing us back to the main heading that the navigator's off. Then when we get to the eye wall, depending if it's concentric eye wall or just one eye wall, we'll make a series of drops. The loadmaster drops on our, I'll tell them to release. And you want to hit the maximum wind. You have to pay a lot of attention. There's a lot of data. Imagine this giant screen that we're doing the show on. There's just data everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's 1 second data, 10-second data, 30-second data. And you're trying to use the temperature, the highest temperature, the lowest humidity, the strongest or lightest winds as the case may be, and the lowest pressure, and the radar to use a representation of getting to the lowest pressure and the lightest wind in the center of the center. So we're dropping eye wall inbound, center drop, eye wall outbound in a span of 10 minutes maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go outbound.
Wow.
And the thing, if you ever notice, do any of you watch the plane on Google Maps with the program? Can you do that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you ever see the plane turn around and you're with your favorite drink here and you wonder, why did the plane turn around? And that's because the drop probably failed, the SON.
Okay.
If the SON fails, they're going to turn around 9 times out of 10, which is a pain in the you-know-what, but they still want that pressure. It's the pressure that drives the plane.
Yeah.
They want the pressure, and then you go out to 100, 105. So during that time, the nav is talking to the pilots, avoid this cell or avoid this cell, whatever. We don't fly through everything. We fly through most everything.
Yeah.
And then so you get out to 105. I'm QCing the whole vortex message. You guys look at the vortex message, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. So I sent a prelim out right away. There's a nice button called F10. Love F10. F10 saves the vortex message, the draft. As soon as I say drop, release the sound, nav, mark the spot, I hit my F10 button and it freezes, which is a nice thing. Because if you forget, that's not good, very bad. And that's very annoying. You build the vortex message. I send a real one probably within 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I flew, I retired 10 years for heaven's sakes, but everyone knew when I flew because I had the most remarks of anybody.
Really?
I would put all kinds of stuff at the bottom because I was trying to help the Hurricane Center.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Sure.
Say, I've got a viewer question. A viewer says, "Have you ever seen the stadium effect punching through eye walls during flight?"
Oh yeah.
Oh, dozens and dozens of time.
Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, it's okay. Let's talk about this. How many of you think it's clear below me at most times at 10,000 feet in a Cat 5? It's not.
Yeah, I bet not.
That's not.
Very rare, very rare. But above, it's always clear.
Wow.
Just a little cirrus here and there, but it's usually pretty clear.
Hmm.
So what you see is when you punch through the eye wall, you just keep hearing it's raining so hard. I have never seen rain like this on the earth. And it smells with the engines going through it. We have 4 turboprop engines, and it's raining so hard that it smells like burnt rain.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And the nav keeps going. We're almost there. We're almost there. And you hear, they're almost there. We're almost there. And then all of a sudden you pop out, and it does look like a stadium. It looks like layers on the eye wall. Now I know one of you is going to ask me about the turbulence, and if a storm is steady state and doesn't really change intensity very much, it really is not that turbulent going through the eye wall. The feeder bands are bumpy, to the, but if a storm changes intensity, it is ass-kicking turbulence.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Have you ever gotten sick?
That's a good question too. No, because I have good food management.
Oh.
Smart.
There are some smart Alex on the plane. There's a guy, and if he's watching tonight, he'll laugh. John Fox. John Fox likes to eat gaseous food. He thinks.
Oh, that's not
Before flight, even? Like,
Oh yeah, he'd go to a kid's party and eat gaseous food and walk around.
Oh.
And he would go on flights and disrupt people.
Oh gosh.
What's his name? Say his name again.
John Fox, F-O-X. But anyway, no, I actually, what I do is I used to bring a sub, and I would take 1 or 2 bites an hour.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
10 hours later, the sub would be gone.
Wow.
So John, go ahead, Kim. Go ahead, Kim.
I was gonna say, is there one hurricane that, to you is front and center, that maybe I'm asking more like, is there one that you were so surprised and in awe of, maybe because of the pressure drop or whatever, that you just thought it was an incredible hurricane?
Yeah, I think the biggest one I still think it's Katrina, just because, I thought that we made a difference. We've got this sign that's outside the building, the world famous hurricane hunters, which I think is a bunch of baloney. But, I think it's funny. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
But that is the time where everybody, even the pilots on the plane, a lot of times the pilots really don't care. I'm going to go on a date tonight, or I want to go get my favorite drink, or whatever. That night, those pilots, the navigator, everyone on my flight is generally from Southern Mississippi.
Yeah.
So the pilot said to me about 2:00 in the morning, and my nickname was Gordo, Gordo. And he says, Gordo, am I going to lose everything I own? Are my kids going to lose their house? And the seriousness in the plane was very different, because the storm wasn't heading to Savannah. It wasn't heading to Houston. It wasn't heading to Miami. It was heading to very close to Biloxi.
Yeah.
And the seriousness on that flight, I've never seen it more serious. All I said to them was, it's not going to be good. Because if you might remember, the field elevation at Keesler is 30 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you take a 25-foot storm surge with waves on top of that, you do the math.
Yeah.
And I thought we made a difference. I did an interview with Geraldo Rivera that night, which is pretty funny. And I made a big mistake. So here's, Brady, you'll like this. Here's my big mistake is I was doing knots in the plane. That's how I am in the plane. That's what we do. We don't do miles per hour. We do knots.
Mhm.
And I gave him I just measured 160 knots. And he goes, Major Gordon, what is 160 knots in miles per hour? I'm like, good Lord.
Oh, yeah.
And the pilot kept telling me, stop saying knots.
Oh.
I love that.
Yeah, so we made a difference that night. But when I said to Geraldo, my brother recorded it for me, but when I said that to Geraldo, I said, if you hear my voice and you're in Pascagoula, Bay St. Louis, Pass Christian, Biloxi, crawl, walk, bike it on your scooter, get on anything you can and go north.
Yeah.
No.
Go north.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're about to be shellacked. See, the problem in Southern Mississippi is these people were obsessed with Camille. Obsessed.
Yeah.
It was the storm of record. And Camille was the peanut storm, named after John Hope's daughter, Kim.
That's right.
John Hope's daughter.
Yes.
Camille. And Camille was the hurricane force winds of Camille went out 30 miles.
Yeah. It's very
Katrina's hurricane force winds went out 200 miles.
Wow.
Now, which one is worse?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know now.
Mhm. I
So
hear ya.
John, when you get to go on those missions, is it something that you is there like a group of hurricane hunters that and they kind of you volunteer for a mission, or is it you get picked? Or just give us an idea of like the process of how you get selected for.
Yeah, it's,
once you become a hurricane hunter, then how do you get on a flight?
after you go through endless training and you're in the crew, what happens is you have availability. There are 10 full-time crews stationed down there. They're called ARTs, Aerial Reserve Technicians, okay? They're GS employees. They also are reservists. And then there are 10 crews that are true traditional reservists. I think Kim was in the reserves, but these were true TRs, traditional reserves, okay? So I would tell them when I was available. I always gave them, smart guy, I always gave them the first 2 weeks of September.
Very smart.
I did not want to go down there and sit on my butt.
Yeah.
I said, I don't care if the flight's at 3 a.m. I don't care if some of these ungodly flights. One time I flew a storm, which was terrible. This was the worst shift I ever worked in my life. It took off at 3:20 in the morning, which meant I had to get there at 12:50. And we landed at 3:20 in the afternoon.
Oh my god.
That's miserable. I mean, it's dark for 5 hours, and then suddenly you come home and it's 95 degrees and it's hotter than you know what, and everybody wants to talk to you, and you're not in a good mood.
Yeah, I bet.
Wow.
So anyway, I picked my first 2 weeks. What happens is you go to the scheduler, you go to operations. I'm available, and they'll come up to you. What do you want to be on? You want to be on the first crew, the second crew, the third crew?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't care. Put me on. I'm ready to fly. Get me in the game.
Yeah.
Well, John, I think I speak for everyone on this panel and in the audience, and we, thank you for your service because, what you do does make a difference. What you did does make a difference. Regardless of what any politician would say, it's life-saving data, and it takes a lot of courage to do it. So we thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, our data, just real quick, our viewers, 25% improvement of the models. That's why we're out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it costs $1 million, $1 million to evacuate 1 mile of U.S. coastline.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. So I have a quick question for you, John, and this has to do with the pilots. Do they have a degree in meteorology, or they just get trained on how to fly in a hurricane?
Yes, that's exactly right. B. Yeah, they are. A lot of my friends fly for Southwest,
Really?
FedEx, all over the place. And there's some people that come from long distances, real distance. There's a guy that used to commute from Guam. I mean, that's crazy.
That is
He's been
crazy.
from Guam to get there.
Wow.
I mean,
You could just stay in Guam and do it.
Hawaii, we had Hawaii, Guam, Alaska. I mean, we're the only show in town. We're the only place you can do this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, that's pretty cool. I always wondered about that. So how do they train for it?
Oh, we go through a lot of storm mission training during the off season. We go through the storm descent checklist, the storm checklist. They're trained about the pilots really earn their weight. They saved my life one time.
Really?
On the Invest in Danny, what became Danny. I think that was 96, I think. And the one that hit Mobile Bay with 30 inches of rain. But anyway, we're flying down there where the oil rigs are, off Louisiana.
Okay.
And most people don't know, those are very tall. I mean, very tall. Some are even taller than the others.
Really? How tall are we talking here?
I'm going to say this wrong on TV, but I think some are close to 800, 900 feet.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Massive.
Yeah. So there was a helicopter that came up. We call them cowboys. They're not really cowboys in John Wayne, but these pilots, these helicopters just do this. They go pick up 5 workers and they do this. They don't care what's up. They came within probably 50, 60 feet of direct collision.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
And the pilots responded very, very quickly. And we actually changed our regulations. We can't go below 2,500 feet down there where the rigs are down off Louisville, Louisiana.
Okay.
So the pilots really watch. Here's another story for you. I was not on this flight because one of the guys retired after this flight. It was, I think it was 95, Tropical Storm Allison, which no one remembers. No one remembers.
I remember.
Okay, not many. This is not the Houston gal Allison. This was a little one in the Gulf.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, the pilot who was a FedEx pilot and the co-pilot was on United, but he set up ahead and he had a Southern twang from Alabama, Dothan, Tim Galloway. Tim Galloway said, "Boy, the water up ahead sure does look funny." And what they didn't realize, they ran into a microburst.
Oh man.
Wow.
And they were I saw the radar altimeter, which is basically the distance from the water to the base of the plane, the RA. I saw the plot after they landed. They went from 620 feet to 92 feet.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
So the pilots, what you do is you go full power, full torque, full flaps, and you get out of it. If you don't do that immediately, you will not survive.
Yeah.
Wow.
You will not survive. And they saved that crew. And so the next plane, Hurricane Center was shocked by this. But the Hurricane Center said, "Oh, let's fly at 5,000 feet or 4,800 foot, which is 850 millibars." But so they flew there and they got hit by a downburst. And they went and dropped to 3,000 feet. So that was one of the very few tropical storms ever that we went up to 10,000 feet for.
Wow.
Wow.
Because it was trying to get its act together. When I told you earlier, when they change intensities and they're trying to get their act together, that's when they're nasty. I mean, they're bad, not good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Well, John, our online viewers are loving this, and so are all of we. But we're going to have to cut it off. But that gives us another reason to have you back another time.
I'll come back anytime, man.
I am sure there are a lot more stories you could tell.
You got to make sure not to have Phil on though. It'll ruin the dynamic. I'm liking this.
So John, how can our listeners and viewers find and follow you on social media?
Well, I'm a modest man at Twitter. That's all I do.
Okay.
I like my modest clouds. My modest is my thing. It's the only downward cloud of all. So if you would like to follow my modest man at my modest man, I'll come and see me on Twitter.
Awesome.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure.
And, see, I was trying to get that username, and you're the one that took it, guys.
It was me.
Come on.
Now he has mama's boy.
Yeah.
All right, so that makes it time for our lightning round, a brilliant and spectacular round of fun questions for our guest. Yes, Phil wrote that. I understand we're going to be doing Who Wants to Be a Louisville Millionaire. Chris, you got it.
Okay, John, we're going to play a fun game. It's based off of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I will ask you a question. It will be multiple choice, and it's going to be Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Louisville Slugger edition. So in honor of your current base of operations in Louisville, you have 2 lifelines you can use at any point during this. You can poll the freaks, everybody else here on the panel, and you can ask for a 50-50, and I will narrow it down to 50-50.
All right, I got it.
And if you let me ride in the Hurricane Hunter plane, if you can arrange that, I will just give you all the answers.
I like the last one.
Yeah, it's not a bad deal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So anyways, let's get this started with the first question. Okay, what 120-foot tall object sits out in front of the Louisville Slugger Museum? Is it A, a bat, B, a baseball, C, a baseball glove, or D, a sweaty sock?
A.
It is A. You are correct. Do we got a
right.
flawless line I can put?
Come on, Phil. That was too easy.
Yeah, that was pretty easy. That one, Phil.
I feel like I at least got something right.
Yeah, sweaty sock for D. Come on, Phil.
Come on.
Yeah, come on. I guess the first one's supposed to be really easy, I guess. So, okay, question 2. How many bats will the average pro player order in a season? Is it A, 30, B, 60, C, 120, or D, 240?
I'll take the 50-50.
Okay, 50-50. It is either A, 30, or C, 120.
I'm going to go with 120.
You are exactly correct. 120 it is. We are moving on to question 3.
Awesome.
Okay, now this one, these are getting harder.
They are.
These are definitely. Okay. Phil basically went from like super easy to let's crank it up. Okay, so now this one's going to be a little harder. Besides northern white ash, what other type of wood is used in most models? Is it A, hickory, B, oak, C, pine, or D, maple?
Oh God, I don't know.
That one's
I don't
a
think
tough
these are
one.
even weather related.
This is not weather. I'll poll my freaks.
Okay, freaks, what do you think? Is it hickory, oak, pine, or maple?
I say oak.
I'm definitely thinking maple. I played baseball, so I'm going to risk my reputation on this one.
Okay.
Oh
What
my
about you?
gosh.
I was gonna go hickory, and he wouldn't like that because then it doesn't help him. So I'll go maple too. That would be my next choice.
I got to go with maple. I have no idea.
Brady, you are a lifesaver. We are through question 3.
There you go.
Let's go,
Good
baby.
job.
Let's
Okay.
go.
Okay,
Thank you,
here we
Brady.
go.
No
Here we
problem.
go. This one, you are out of lifelines except for that last one, which we mentioned. Okay. Come on, guys. Come on. No. Anyways, Louisville Slugger started making bats in what year? Is it A, 1810, B, 1884, C, 1910, or D, 1984?
Well, I know it's not A or D. It's either 1884, 1910. Oh, God. I'll go 1884. 1884.
1884.
Wrong.
That is correct, actually.
Oh my
gosh.
To question
Can't do
5.
that, Chris.
I'm harkening back to when Regis hosted this. Sometimes pause for dramatic effect. We got to do that.
That
He
was
is
good.
batting
That's a fun tour,
1,000.
by the way. You guys should come to Louisville and go to the tour. It's great.
Hey, actually, this is selling me on it. Okay.
MJ, was that a baseball pun you just said?
Yeah, he's batting 1,000.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
he
perfect.
hit it
Okay.
out of the park.
This is
Oh.
the final question. You are going to be a millionaire if you get it. I can't tell you what you're a millionaire in. Phil did not specify what the prize is, but you will be a millionaire.
And cups.
Cups. That sounds great.
In our Stormfront Free cups.
Exactly. I hope you have good storage. Okay. What natural disaster in 1937 did significant damage to the Louisville Slugger business? Was it A,
Right.
lightning, B, a tornado, C, a flood, or D, a hurricane?
Major flood, C.
And that is exactly correct. Congratulations,
Wow. Oh my
John. You're a
gosh.
millionaire, everyone. I don't know what to. I mean,
That
we'll get Phil to write the check for whatever that is.
yeah, no
All
kidding.
right.
That may be the first time a guest has gotten all of them correct. That's awesome.
Oh, my God.
I got all mine correct.
Okay. Sorry.
Ooh. Oh.
That was with the Air Force. Kim, that's
There you
the Air
go.
Force.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that
That's
must.
us.
All right, great job,
Very good.
John. Thanks for playing with us and having some
Thank you.
fun tonight. You've
It
been
was
great.
fun.
Really appreciate it. So we're going to take a short break. Our podcast listeners get to hear the latest edition of the Titans U Minute with Chris Sanner. So stay right here. We'll be back with John and our co-host Freaks to discuss why flooding deaths have increased over other natural hazard deaths in the last 30 years. All right, that's a wrap. We got a 5-minute break
Okay.
for Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV.
Time to get another beer.
Thanks, John. That was cool. That was great.
That was
Great job.
awesome.
Yeah, Brady was right. I'm going to go use the restroom.
I'll be right back, too.
Called it. Called it.
Oh,
Got
you
that
guys
5-minute
all have
break.
to go. Jeez.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
MJ, it's just me and you, huh?
Yep. You and I. How you doing?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
We didn't get to talk about your Halloween party. Almost was going to throw that in there at happy hour, but
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Hey, it was. I'm going to have to post some pictures or something.
absolutely.
Yeah, my husband scared the living daylights out of a lot of teenagers.
Oh, great.
So it was awesome. We have so much fun. We dress up and he's sitting back on the front porch, sitting at a bench.
Okay.
And he's got the cape on, the hood over his face and a skeleton mask on. And he's sitting back there with his head down. So when you peek over at him, he looks like he's one of our creatures.
Sure.
And so they come up and they look over at him and they come up to me. And so I give them candy. And then as they're getting the candy, he gets up and walks over and stops. And so when they look back over, all of a sudden he's right there. And the candy's not worth this. And they run. And it's so much fun.
No, he didn't make any little ones cry or anything, did he?
Yeah, there were a few that, that there were some where they wouldn't even, because we have so much stuff in the front of our house too, that a lot of them will send their parents up and they won't come to our house.
You know
But
what?
then-
Hey, that's a good thing though, Kim. It's teaching them to have a healthy
Healthy what?
fear of candy.
Healthy
And maybe later in
Healthy
life
fear.
it'll
There you
serve them
go.
well because they won't want any more candy.
I like that, Brady. And that leaves more candy for me.
Exactly.
So
No.
we usually we do quite a bit of decorating. This year we just didn't get around to it, but
MJ.
we have some skeletons, and we usually put them in interesting poses. We've had them climbing ladders to the roof. We've had them doing all kinds of different things. Well, this year all we managed to do was get a couple of lawn chairs out and put them in the lawn chair. But my wife put hats on him. Okay, so
Yeah.
and one of them was holding his head, so he's got a hat on that he's holding.
Oh,
And
that's pretty cool.
we put a Minnesota Vikings hat, and a Minnesota Twins hat on him. That's just the one she happened to pick out. There was no purpose, but we had all kinds of people coming, and they said, "Oh, we love that's great, your little display there," because it's all what they were always thinking was that it was people who had died waiting for the Twins or the Vikings to win a championship. So it's pretty funny.
You went with it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I love that.
Brutal.
We do the same thing. We had a lot of skeletons climbing up our house and looking in the windows, and this year, and we do a graveyard, and we just have all kinds of things out there. So it's
How long
fun.
did it take to set that up, Kim?
It takes about a month because we do
A month?
we do an inside we do
Wow.
an inside haunted house inside.
Oh,
we
geez.
Oh my!
so the house is decorated inside and outside.
How
We
much
bring
fun.
the kids in,
No.
and
Wow.
they freak out.
No joke. Halloween's your favorite holiday. That's
Well,
pretty cool.
Christmas really is though.
Okay. Okay.
So we
Oh,
start
man.
decorating this weekend for Christmas. We usually have 23 Christmas trees.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That is awesome.
23.
All right, holy cow.
23.
Man,
All right, so I'm looking at I'm watching Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV here, and they didn't take a break, so we can start whenever we're ready.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sometimes
Okay.
they do, sometimes they don't. So here's just everybody just review what's going to happen. Kim, you've got the discussion. You're going to lead that, yes?
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay.
And then do you have the script? Do you want to do the part that says, let us know what you think on the subject, blah, 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 or do you want me to do that?
You can do that. I don't care. Doesn't matter.
Okay. All right. So
I do have the script. Let's see, do I? Yeah.
why don't you do that part? Then I know when you're done.
Okay. All right.
And then I'll pick up the final break part. Yeah, and that should get us into the last break, and then we've got
Okay.
weather resources and weather fools.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right. Should I go ahead and just do it, huh?
I'll give you a count in, and then you can go ahead and say welcome back and take it away. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, we'll be back in 3, 2, 1.
And welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Stormfront Freaks podcast and maybe seeing us live. We have John Gordon with us. He is the meteorologist in charge at the National Weather Service office in Louisville, Kentucky, also former hurricane hunter. We talked a lot about hurricanes, John, in the first segment. Now we want to kind of get an idea of what's going on in the other part of your life here, maybe in Louisville, and what you do in the National Weather Service office. And, there's been a lot of flooding that's been reported. We just see a lot more flooding, it seems like, in the news lately. And it seems like flooding deaths have actually increased over the last 30 years. And this is interesting because while deaths by other natural hazards like hurricanes and tornadoes have actually decreased, flooding deaths have increased. And we're just curious to see what your thoughts on this are.
I'm really glad you invited me for this subject because this is very near and dear to my heart. 2005 was my first year here in Louisville. We had 12 tornadoes. How many people died from those tornadoes? No one.
Yeah.
I had 12 people die from flooding.
Wow.
There is, and there in many cases, it is so preventable.
Oh,
There
yeah.
were two 20-year-old, 21-year-old ladies from the University of Kentucky that were bar hopping in 2005. They were in a cab. They're in a safe cab. Right, Kim? They're safe.
Yeah.
And it's raining cats and dogs, and water is flowing on the street. And the one chick says to the cabbie, "Hey man, I want to go to that bar over there." He says, "I'm not driving to that." She put a $20 bill in his face. Drive across. He said, "I'm not driving across." They both get out pissed off, and they both got hit by the flowing water. One went into the sewer drain. The other one drowned down the road. That is so preventable.
Oh.
A former governor of the state of Kentucky, Bert T. Combs, he was probably in his 80s. out on his farm, and he was driving a kind of a dump truck tractor combination with a trailer. Went across, got hit by flowing water, a mile around down the thing, he was found. I can tell you story after story after story. People driving around barricades.
Yeah.
Why do you think the barricade is there, Brady? Why is it there?
Stop people from going.
I mean, it's just that simple. I cannot, and the Weather Channel's been very big, and places like this venue have been great about promoting turnaround, don't drown, turnaround, don't drown. However, if people do not want to hear that,
Yeah.
and I always love people with these big pickup trucks and big trucks. I can get through that. I've got a Ford 150. I can go through that. I've got a Chevy Equinox.
Yeah.
And the reality is you can't go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
every
reality.
time. Every
And
time.
And Kim, this subject is, I mean, you'd think that the Big Thompson Canyon in the 70s would have woke people up.
Right.
You would have think in the early Fort Collins in the 80s, Cheyenne, Rapid City, Shady Side, Ohio, that campground in Arkansas, Pike Ground, all those campers died.
Yeah.
And is it going to get better? I don't think so.
So why do you think it's gotten worse, though?
Yeah.
Because people think that they can get through anything. The Superman aspect of their life.
Yeah.
It's got to start with kids. When I go to schools, I go to Rotaries. I speak at a lot of places. I always preach flooding. My extinguished guest asked me about the 37 flood in Louisville. That's the record event in Louisville, not the 74 tornado. The 37 flood, they got 20 inches of rain. This is a river flood, not a flash flood.
Yeah.
They had 20 inches of rain in a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So the flood stage at McAlpin, which is the flood gauge here in Louisville, is 50 feet. 50 feet. It hit 85 feet. Think
Cool.
about that.
Wow.
That's 35
35.
feet
Oh, yikes.
above the flood stage. So what did the city of Louisville do, distinguished freaks? What did they do in 1937 after the flood? Did they do anything? Nothing.
Yeah.
You know why? Why, Kim? Because it's a 100-year flood. It's
It'll
gotta
never
wait
happen
100
again.
years, right? It can't happen again.
Right.
Yeah.
We can
Mhm.
attest
Gonna
that's not
happen in
true.
100 years.
But in 1945, which is mere 8 years later, we hit 75 feet, and they went, "Oh, I guess it can happen. Oh, I guess we need to do something."
Yeah.
And then they put the flood wall in. But getting back to your original question, we've got to educate kids, and these kids got to talk to their parents and their grandparents. There are people dying so unnecessarily.
Yeah. Yeah. That's John. I mean, I work in TV here in Oklahoma City, and the majority of the cases you hear when you hear of someone dying in a flood, you're like, this would have been prevented if they had just done this. What percentage? I mean, there's probably been a study on this, but what percentage of flooding deaths are preventable? I mean, do you have a ballpark figure?
I don't. That's a really good question. I would say it over 50%.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's pretty high.
And these campgrounds, that thing, and I cannot remember that place in Arkansas. I think it's Albert Pike. I think it's the Albert Pike campgrounds. Do you guys remember that event?
Yeah, that
I do
sounds
remember
familiar.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, the campground people have got to have, a lot of these campgrounds let people camp near the creeks, the streams,
The dry beds and stuff.
the dry beds, the Aurora areas. They have got to have an immediate plan of action.
Yeah.
They've got to have a plan.
Yeah.
Now, I hold those people who allow people to camp on creeks and streams, they should be held accountable.
Yeah. Do you think something like, I know we have outdoor warning sirens for that sort of thing for tornadoes. Do you think a campground should have something like that?
I think they should have something, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Maybe some kind of text message. Well, maybe they can't get.
Yes.
There's
They
something.
got to have something.
Yeah.
They need something. Because it's insane the amount of people dying from flooding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is. Yeah.
And I think another problem with that is people don't, when people see a tornado warning, when people see a severe thunderstorm warning, they take that seriously because it's something tangible and it's something that they know is life-threatening. When people see like a flood warning, a lot of times you look outside and it's raining and you're like, whatever, it's not really infecting me. And I think another good point too, along the same lines. So I interned at AccuWeather last summer. We actually did a post-mortem analysis on the West Virginia flooding, like a company analysis. And we did a really, really, really good job at predicting the tornado event. But as meteorologists, we did not do a good job at all of predicting the flooding event. And I think, honestly, too, it's sometimes we get excited about predicting the tornadoes because that's what, a lot of people, a lot of meteorologists like the most. They like tornadoes. They like, sexy weather. They like thunderstorms. And so I think it almost gets lost on us how to even predict a flooding event because, it's not something that excites us.
Right. You make a good point. I'll tell you a little inside baseball story. In 2009, we had the Louisville flash flood, and some of you may remember that. And one of your former guests, John Belsky, who you had on, this is a true story. Anyway, he sent a note in the NWS chat that said a propane tank is floating down 3rd Street by the University of Louisville.
Oh, gosh. And
we had already had a flash flood warning out. Okay. But when he sent that, I said to my guys, I was out on the floor, I said, we got to do more. And they looked at me, well, what more can we do? I go, why don't we put a flash flood emergency out?
Yeah.
And they said, I don't think we're allowed to do that. I said, I don't care. Put it out and put my name on it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
And we were the first in the country, and it was amazing.
Wow.
It was so amazing because when they hit the send button and sent that out, all 4 local stations, without exception, we're under a flash flood emergency. I mean, the breaking news, the old funny breaking news thing in the hand.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And it was like immediate. And everyone in the city, the urgency went like this.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that flash flood warning, there was no emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's honestly, that's what we need to do. A better job of making that kind of not necessarily flash flood emergency, but we need to make a flash flood warning as important as a tornado warning.
Well, I'll give a great local example here just from Oklahoma. May 31st, 2013. What does every meteorologist go to? Oh, the El Reno tornado.
Yeah.
14 people died from flash flooding in Oklahoma that day.
I know.
That flooding event was horrific. And we don't talk about that. And that's a perfect example of what we were just talking about.
I know, being sent out to, get off guts. It's just a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the emergency, I think, after you did that, John, did other National Weather Service offices start using that?
Yes.
Okay. Did you get in any trouble at all for going out on a limb there?
No, but I really don't care. I'm a rebel.
We need rebels like you.
I'm a rebel. I really am. I'm usually in detention. I've been in detention for 30 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So how do we get people to care? I guess that's the real challenge. Is I think because people in my generation, especially, their attention spans are just like this. They have no patience. They think they're always right. How do you get people to care?
We're trying. There's places like this that we're trying to educate. I've always believed that a third of my job. You asked me earlier, what does an MIC do? I've always believed that at least a third of my time is getting out in the community. I do a lot of rotaries. I do schools. I do as many conferences as I can. I bring my energy and I try to. It's almost like this. It's like people who still have landline phones. Okay, you should not be on the darn phone in a lightning storm. I mean, is that not difficult to understand?
Or the shower. Or the shower.
And it's like the people. It's like the people and the people on the boats. If you're on a body of water and there's a storm coming, what's the tallest object on the water?
The boat.
A boat, anything like that. Yeah.
I mean, there's some basic stuff. How do I get people to care? I don't know. I educate as much as I can. I don't know
so much you can do.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I think that might play into this just a hair is just think about like what kind of extreme weather video people see. Just back to the what's sexy. People see tornadoes. They see the aftermath of tornadoes. They're scared to death of that.
Right.
You don't see video, and it's very rare to have this a stream just regular, and all of a sudden this rushing water. You don't see that flash flood. You don't see the damage photos. Which, by the way, if you're watching this and you are questioning flash flooding water, it does a lot of damage, as much or more than a tornado ever will.
Oh, it's unbelievable. You're right.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe showing those visuals is important. I don't know. It's just thinking through like how. I mean, you got to have a fear-based reaction in some ways. It's got to be we want people to have a rational reaction to flooding, of course, in any weather emergency. There's got to be that, oh, this is dangerous light bulb click in their head before they can take action. I think.
I completely agree with that. I mean, if you see the pictures of Big Thompson in the 70s, that state road gone, Rapid City, Shady Side, the West Virginia flood you mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many examples of this.
Yeah.
No.
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 Yeah.
And people are invincible. They're invincible, man.
Yeah. Well, I know one of my guys on our Tornado Titans team, Brandon Sullivan, did the Charleston floods years ago. A couple years ago, and there's he shot video of people like there's this like it's a mile-long wall of water and people are still driving into it. And I'm saying, and the predictable thing happened over and over again in his video, and it's just like, what are people? I mean, what do you do when you're driving down the road? What rationale do you go? Oh, that looks like a lake and it's flowing. We'll make it. I mean,
I know.
I don't get that either.
Well, a lot of it is people don't want to be inconvenienced. They're like, I'm on my way to the store or wherever, I can do this. And I think what kills me more than anything is that when people have children in the car and they decide to tempt that, they're like, I can make it across. It's almost like those big rigs going across a bridge where, they're over weight limit and they, if I go fast, I can get across it. It's like, nope.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with everything you said is right.
And I think too, the more footage, I guess, we can get of flooding, not necessarily like, watching my people, but like destroying things. And I know that sounds bad, but people take tornadoes seriously because they see a tornado destroying a house. They see a video of a tornado destroying a house. They see what it can do. I don't think there's not enough footage of flooding destroying things.
Yeah.
There may not be that fear.
Yeah, and it's just not that fear. People don't, because people associate tornadoes with that. So we need to get to a point where people associate flowing water with I don't want to say fear, but they recognize
that it destroys things. Yeah.
People just don't realize that.
Oh yeah, flash flood warnings are treated as an afterthought every time. Every time.
I agree with you.
And it's just that. Yeah, I mean, just from my standpoint, as someone who's interested in educating as well, I mean, it's just like, I think it is. You got to be able to show people that this is what this can do. You almost got to, you got to scare people into action in a way. I mean, again, you don't want to scare them to where they're like paralyzed when something bad happens, but they got to have that knowledge that, oh my gosh, this could happen. There's a flash flood warning. We need to make sure we're not in danger.
Right. Yeah. There's a storm spotter slide we've been using for years of a guy that's going around a barricade. You see his head just coming out the window. You ever see that, Kim? He's leaning out.
Yeah. And
when I do that, I always say, this man is dead. Yeah. He is dead because he drove around a barricade and he's dead and got caught in the flowing water.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about, I think they do in Arizona where, if you go around a barricade and, you have to be rescued, then you have to pay back the city or whatever.
Great idea.
Yeah. So maybe that's something that, because money talks, and when people find out they have to pay for the rescue or whatever on top of a new car, maybe that, an insurance, I don't know, does insurance cover it? If you drive through an area where there's a flash flood warning?
It would probably depend on your coverage, but maybe they shouldn't.
Maybe they shouldn't, maybe that's a way to get people's attention. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's like especially children, you feel sorry, especially if a child's caught in that. But if a person like an adult, a human adult, sees like this flowing, rushing water, a barricade, and that says, I got it, and they go and do it. Yeah. I struggle as a human being of saying, I feel sorry for you because because there's a lot of conscious decisions that were made going up to the point of tragedy that could have completely been prevented. And it's just hard. It's hard to feel empathy for that situation just because of that, even though they have family and everyone here has experienced loss of some kind. And you're just like, that family's going through that, but it was all preventable all the way up to it. And it's just, it's as maddening and anger. I mean, it brings anger as much as anything, just knowing that. Oh.
Especially in situations where we predict it well too. That
Good point.
That is the most frustrating thing when.
I remember reading a story. I think it was a flash flood in Texas a year or two ago, where it was just like literally wrong place, wrong time. A girl was driving across a bridge and the wall of water hit right at that exact moment, something like that. And she was just, and she was killed by that. That's something that's a tragedy. But then you hear about a story where that wall of water is already there, the bridge is out, and someone still just decides to try to drive through it or something. And then you're just like,
I
there's
agree.
a lot of things. Yeah.
There's only so much we can do for people like that, I think. I don't know.
Kim, she's right. There's only so much we can do. If people want to drive through a wall of water or jump off a bridge, I can't stop you.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh man.
Nope.
Yeah, it's tough. It's just tough. Oh.
Well, at least like with hurricanes, when we know a hurricane's going to hit, I think people pay more attention, to flooding with that. Especially, I think some of the media's done better with highlighting what is going to be the worst part of this storm. Is it going to be the wind? Is it going to be the flooding? So, I don't know if that's something that that local TV stations can maybe do a better job of when there's some kind of event coming through, to really say, okay, this is what the problem is going to be with this today or whatever. With this system.
Kim, you were like what they did in Houston for Harvey. The rain was forecast 7 days out.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I know after the May 31st event here in Oklahoma City, how we changed some things locally is that we have a graphic for every severe weather event that has hail, tornado, winds, and flooding in that graphic. And I think just those kind of like visuals, like to equate flooding with tornadoes and hail, that's something that does help long term, especially because I can remember several events this year where I, as a storm chaser, was like, okay, our hail, our tornado, our winds, they're all just super low end. But here's the flash flooding threat here in the red. And I mean, even I'm not fired up about it, but I'm like, this is what kills people. And, maybe I too, need to, we all need to, but it's just a point of interest.
It's a good point, Chris. We definitely need to catch ourselves. When I was at AccuWeather, literally, I caught myself just wanting to forecast tornadoes and and not even really knowing how to forecast flooding. So I think we can all really kind of push as meteorologists to truly hone that skill as well. So.
And each part of the country deals with flooding completely different. Okay, you've got to deal with the arroyos and the backwash and debris flows out west. Okay, you've got places that do not drain well, all the urban areas in America. I don't care where you are, Atlanta, you cannot handle 1.5 inches of rain in an hour. It is not possible. You can't.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have in the state of Missouri, for all you viewers in Missouri, you are the king of low water bridge crossings. It's just joyful. There's only about 100,000 of them. So this is what we're saying. We have a road, Brady, a road, okay, a normal road. And we allow the road to go through a dry bed creek. Now think about that. Hundreds upon hundreds upon thousands of these.
No.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Kid you not. And people drive through them, and every year some people die. And I don't care how many signs you have. Danger, water impassable during high water. Alert, danger.
Yeah. All right. So, like Christine, one of our viewers who mentions also the people like the first responders who have to save people who went into those situations and sometimes lose their lives doing that, which is also a tragedy. So like Christine did, let us know what you think of this subject. Email us at questions@stormfrontfreaks.com or find us on Twitter or Facebook and tag us your thoughts so we can share that on our next show. Okay. We're going to take our final break. The rest of you can refill your drinks. And when we come back, it's time for some neat weather resources, or WX resources. And of course, we're never short on weather fools. And I understand John's going to stick around and participate with us in that segment as well.
There we go.
Awesome. All right. We'll be right back. All right. I don't have to do the Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV thing because they left us already. So.
Should we take that personal? I don't know.
No, top of the hour they cut us off. So.
Oh, okay.
And we had some good. I was going to stop us just before that because there was a little pause, but then we still had a couple good things to talk about.
Oh, it's great discussion.
That's hard. I know we can keep going on that.
Yeah.
So, John, tell me if anybody there at the National Weather Service is still there in Louisville, or if you've heard, of course, the stories about the 74 outbreak and the 74 tornado.
Yeah, they've all retired. When I went to Louisville in 2005, the average age in the office was 54.
Oh, goodness.
And now the age is about 36. So I've hired, I don't know, 10 or 15 of them. Most of the office I've hired.
Okay.
And And yeah, what we did is when I was in Huntsville, we had a 30-year anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Show up. We had this big anniversary event, and I had all the TV Mets from Birmingham and Huntsville actually read the names of the deceased by county. It went on and on.
Oh
and
my gosh.
74 is just off the charts.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And then in Louisville, we did 40-year anniversary. We had 4 events that day. I just kept going from event to event to event. Brandenburg tornado was an F5, and then it lifted. Then it hit Louisville as an F4. Tornado in Frankfurt by Bowling Green. I mean, they were just prolific.
And Cincinnati, you know, had the F5 that hit Sailor Park, and that's the one I saw.
Okay.
So that's what got me into weather. So that's why I'm like the 74 outbreak. You know, when Dr. Forbes started working for the Weather Channel, I was like, oh my God, Dr. Forbes, you know,
he's the man.
He was one of the ones, you know,
He's the man. He's my, when he's on, I watch him.
Oh, yeah. I believe that. And he actually gave me some files that Ted Fujita and him worked on. He gave them to me because he knew how much I loved the 74 outbreak. So
That's
That's so
awesome.
cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's really cool, Kim.
Absolutely treasure them. Yeah.
Yeah, what happened was in 2008, we had the NWA meeting in Louisville.
Yeah, I wish I could have been
And
there.
Forbes gave a talk on the 74 surveys.
Yeah, yeah.
What he did, the last slide was the coolest slide ever at a weather conference. So all 5 teams go out and survey everywhere. Then Fujita checked your work and went resurveyed it. And then when it was all done, Mr. and Mrs. Theodore Fujita had a pizza party for all the surveyors.
Yeah.
And there's a picture. There's a picture of all the surveyors on the porch with the Fujitas.
Oh, that is priceless. Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
pretty cool.
Okay.
All right. So when we can come back anytime here.
Okay.
Okay.
When we come back, Chris, you're going to take it right out of break.
Yeah. Okay.
And you've got WX resources. Who's got a WX resource for Chris?
I do.
I do.
Brady,
Okay.
Kim,
Me.
John.
Okay. Awesome. And I will have one too. I'll do mine really quick.
All
Yep.
right, Weather Fools.
And
Who's
then
got Weather Fool?
and then Brady, or sorry, Chris, you turn it over to Brady for Weather Fools. Who's got a fool?
I do.
I do.
Kim, Brady,
Yeah, I got one. Yeah.
Chris.
So what do you do during the Fools? What do you do?
So it's basically like either a funny video or so like, for example, my Weather Fool one week or last week, actually, was this your Weather Fool, Kim? It was someone who walked out in the middle of a lightning storm, or it was like a kid who walked out in the middle of a lightning storm and also got struck by lightning.
Yeah.
So it's basically like, you know, weather related, someone doing something stupid, like, you know, a video of someone driving through, you know, water.
I have one if you want me to bring it up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Why
We'll
not?
run with that.
More the merrier.
Perfect.
So.
Then I don't have to do any.
Okay.
That's always good. So Brady, you can throw it back to me for questions or listener stuff in closing. Then.
Okay, so Kim, John, and me, Weather Fools. All right, sweet.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
You know, you were just talking about the kid with the lightning.
Yeah.
Did Kim
Someone
you use
used
that one?
Someone
I
used
think I did.
Someone
I think
used
I
that.
did.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
we
was that
actually
the one he was holding the umbrella.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he walked out
Yeah.
the yard and
Yeah.
well, we got a shout out about that one. So I'll talk about that
Okay.
Okay.
on the
Cool.
listener stuff.
Cool.
So.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
So Chris is going to take it. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Count me in.
All right. You're ready to go in 3, 2, 1.
And welcome back, everybody. This is our favorite, second favorite, third favorite, fourth favorite. It's a favorite segment on Stormfront Freaks called WX Resources. This segment, it's basically where we introduce things like apps, websites, equipment, books, videos, etc., etc., etc. Or as Phil writes, he writes a lot of things that he wants us to say. I'm going to ignore all of that. And anyways, we're going to introduce with some really good things that will help you enhance your WX knowledge. Be sure to check out stormfrontfreaks.com and look at our episode 39 show notes for links for all of these we're going to talk about. I'm going to lead this off. If you are watching this live, I have there was something put into operation. I'm going to try to screen share. 1 second. We're going to see how this works. And it is from the Storm Prediction Center. Oh man, we're going down the rabbit hole. And it is called the HREF. We've been using the SREF for a long time. And the HRF is basically the same thing, except it is with the short range high res models. It's going to be amazing when we get to storm season. Basically, just think of it as a short-term ensemble. It's going to, I mean, I just honestly cannot wait to use this thing. So
Nice.
I will have a link for that. But
Chris, how new is this?
literally put in operation yesterday. So
Wow.
And how
So
often
I'm-
will it be available?
what's that?
How often? I mean, is it just every so many hours or?
That's a really good question. I don't know. Right now, there's only one run available. It is the 0 UTC run, and there is
Okay.
nothing available. So I would imagine, I would imagine it's going to be pretty often because since it's
I
a
would
short
think so.
term. So it might be hourly. It might be hourly or every 3 hours. So
Wow.
but yeah, I am
Cool.
super excited. I have no idea how to end screen share. There it is. So anyways, coming up next for our next WX resource, Kim, what do you got?
Oh, it's me. Okay. All right. Let me. Hopefully, I'll do this right. You
This is
guys
always
remember?
The skeletons.
Okay. All right. Okay. So mine is a Twitter. Somebody I follow or something. Somebody I follow on Twitter. Anybody know this one? Breaking 911 Nature. Anybody
I've
follow
seen it,
this one?
Yeah.
All right. And I like this because this is on Twitter. They just have sometimes, and this is crazy to me. They actually have some video on here that I think makes it here on Twitter before you see it on anywhere else. Like even on the Weather Channel and some of these other ones, I find videos, weather videos, before, like this one I saw before they started showing it on the Weather Channel. It's actually that house that's flowing down the river.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Hits the bridge
See, that's
and
what I was
just
talking
gets
about.
totally, you know, sucked in. But
Not
they also
good.
do. No, that's absolutely horrible. Can you imagine
Wow.
your house? I just can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
So sometimes they get video in before everybody else, but they also do forecasts. You know, they'll pull some Weather Channel things. So they get some of their sources from all different places around the country. And I just find it, you know, I get a lot of stuff quicker on this Twitter feed. So that's my weather resource. It's Breaking 911 Nature on Twitter.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Brady,
Okay.
what about you?
All right, so I'm going to stay on theme here with. It's a little bit. It's not hurricane hunters, but it's definitely it's aviation weather
Oh, that's good.
from the National Weather Service. This is the. Here's like a really cool interactive, like basically station plot map from all across the United States, even up into Canada. And we're gonna play a little game right now. We're gonna play Find the Cold Front here. Can you guys find the cold front on this map? Where do you guys think it is?
Oh boy, maybe north of Indianapolis. Let's see here.
I see it.
Yeah, you guys see it?
Yeah.
Okay, well
can't see the
that's what's
plot.
so cool about
Detroit,
station plot.
Indianapolis.
Yep, exactly.
South
Coming right through here.
Yeah.
We actually did a lot of this in college. We would like, take these maps and like draw the fronts.
fun.
It's pretty cool.
I still
but-
love doing that.
This is really just a really cool site. Not only does it have the station plots, but it also has some of the METAR reports. Once again, here is the interactive station plot map. And then here you can go literally click on any of these to get the individual reports. Then here's just the raw METAR data for those of you that love reading METARs 24 hours a day. I remember we had to do one of these for a class assignment. That was fun. But yeah, here's the airport code and then all of the METAR information. So it's a pretty cool website, especially for those flight weather people out there. I know a couple of my friends were pilots. This was like the #1 site they would go to. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Well, what about you, John?
I'm going to give my big passion is students in meteorology, even more than hurricanes. That is my gift. My job is to scare the bejeebers out of young people to get their act together.
You need to come to Ohio State, and I'll come back. Do some
to get them motivated to get in the weather. And I want to I go to universities all across the country, and I want to give a shout out to a school that was fledgling that is now like a stock. You want to buy a stock in it, and that's down at WKU, Western Kentucky University. And a guy named Professor Josh Durkee, and he's got white squirrel weather. Okay? So you check out their app, you check out their webpage. He's got students doing forecasts for football games at WKU and for clients and emergency managers and for airport people all around Southern Kentucky.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and he's got
That's
this chaos lab. I like that name, chaos. And he's got this chaos lab with webcams and takes them on storm chases. And they've got all these sensors, micronets all around Southern Kentucky. So you want to check out the White Squirrel weather. It's a moving, it's a shaking, and Dr. Durkee is the man. He's the man who's turned that around. And another school, real quick, I want to give a shout out to Valparaiso.
Yep.
Up there, up north. To me, and I should watch what I say, but I'm going to tell you the way it is Dr. Bart Wolf. That has got to be the premier operational meteorology school in America. If you want to get into operations, you can't go any better than Valparaiso.
Hey, I was a Crusader baby for a semester, but
Their weather lab is bigger than most people's basements.
Really?
Yep, and it's literally like on the second story of a building. It's like all glass windows around it. They launch weather balloons. Literally, whenever there was a weather event, everyone would just come flocking to that building. It was a really cool collaborative space.
They got their own dual pole radar. How many schools have their own dual pole radar?
Yeah,
really cool.
So check out White Squirrel Weather. Get the app.
White Squirrel?
White Squirrel Weather.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right,
Well,
nice.
that is all of our WX resources. Brady, I believe I'm turning it over to you now.
So Chris, unlike the weather resource where it could be the first or second best, so I guess I already said it. The weather or the was the favorite part of the show. The Weather Fools is actually the second best, and that's official. I just got word from Phil. So, what is Weather Fools? So, Weather Fools, us as the freaks, we're looking on the internet for someone that did something silly, stupid, or just downright goofy when it comes to the weather. Usually, the best Weather Fools are a video. A couple weeks ago, we had someone that was out in a thunderstorm and almost got struck by lightning. That was really scary, but it was just really shocking because lightning struck right next to him. And if there's a thunderstorm, you probably should go indoors. When thunder roars, go indoors. But anyway, it's a great phrase. So, got the Weather Fools this week. Kim, do you have Weather Fool?
I do.
All right, let's hear it.
I actually do. All right. So, I have to, let me see here. First, let me get this. All right. Okay.
There it is.
I have to give a shout out to my buddy, Keith Carson, who used to be a meteorologist at the Weather Channel. He's up in Maine right now. And he's a local meteorologist. And so he's outside doing the weather. He's got a green screen behind him. And he's out there just talking about the weather and getting ready to do a segment. And let me go back. Let me see here. Hang on. I want to go back. And how do you go back?
Yeah,
Okay.
just drag it back there.
So there he is. So he's actually just looking. He's just talking about the weather. And a man and his son just kind of start slowly moving.
They just walk in.
just slide. They slide right in.
The kid's waving.
It's a man and his son, and so Keith kind of looks over and says, "Oh, look, we got people coming in here." And so they come over. They just stand there, kind of have deer in the headlight looks, and so Keith's just talking to him, and then Keith's probably getting like, "Hurry up, wrap! You got 10 seconds." And so he's trying to get this forecast in, and so they're kind of in the way and. Eventually, they got out of the way. Anyway, it just was hilarious.
That's
So
awesome.
That's fun.
So I guess the real Weather Fool was the camera guy who prevented them didn't prevent them from getting on the set.
He just right in the picture. It was too funny. So that was on Breaking 911 Nature, but he actually tweeted this out as well. So that was fun to watch.
really
But Keith
awesome.
Carson, he's a trip. Okay, that's it for me, guys.
Awesome.
That's awesome, Kim. All right. Well, John, you have Weather Fool, correct?
Yeah, I do. I don't know how to move this over. I'm not the tech guy, but
you're good.
If I want to laugh, and I've gone to YouTube 1,000 times to see this. If you want to laugh, Al Roker. Al Roker. I want everyone to go to YouTube and type Al Roker being blown away.
Yeah. Okay.
And Al Roker, if you like to laugh, I mean, it's like Wile E. Coyote, right?
Yeah.
Everyone laughs when the coyote is about to be hit. But this is real. There's a guy that's being paid money by NBC, right, Kim? Being paid to hold on to Al Roker's leg in a hurricane.
Yeah.
So this guy's holding on. he's getting hit with 100-mile-per-hour winds. And Al Roker gets hit by this big gust. And he goes down there like, if you watch pro wrestling, like the DDT of Jake the Snake. And he goes down, boom! And he is down. And Matt Lauer's face is this big. You go, oh my God! And he goes, I'm okay. And Matt Lauer says, if you think Al's got a bad job, how'd you like to have the job holding his leg?
Oh my God.
So everyone type Al Roker being blown away, and you too will laugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just
All
watched
right.
it. It was fantastic. I'm sure that guy probably volunteered for that gig, though. He
Yeah,
like,
definitely a volunteer position.
What is that
definitely.
job application? What's the job application? What are you, a leg holder?
A leg holder, a support beam. I don't know.
I'm
Something
sure.
like
I'm
that.
sure he was an intern.
He's a grip.
Yeah. Well, that was great, John. And I would I just did that on YouTube. I would highly recommend that to our viewers because that was well worth the clip.
It's only 24 seconds. 24 seconds.
That might have been the best one we've seen in a while. I'll tell you that. I just watched that video. It was straight money.
Have you seen it, Kim? Have you seen it?
Yes, I have. Awesome.
It was great. All right. Well, so my weatherful this week, it's not going to be nearly as good. It's more on a serious note, I guess. So my weatherful is who's ever not staffing the weather service. This was a article from the Washington Post. Basically, how the weather service is having to scale back their weather balloon launches. So I just think, of all the things to scale back, that's not what you want. So I think, we need to get our act together. And I know
fake news.
Yeah. Oh, fake news, you said, Kim.
Yeah.
Explain why. I haven't
Washington
really
Post.
What? Okay.
Yeah. Well, go on.
But still, it's just regardless, we need to get ahead of the National Weather Service at least. I think someone needs. I know he's been appointed, but just get him through and let's get the right guy for the job and let's move on. But just my 2 cents for the day. But so that's my weatherful this week. It's kind of an unnamed man, so not really funny. But anyway, so you can find all of these links of the videos on our show. Is it 39?
Yes.
That is
Show
correct.
39 show notes on stormfrontfreaks.com, where you'll also find a section about Meet the Freaks, where there's some devilishly good-looking pictures you can find on there as well. So, of all the freaks. And then I think we might put a picture up of our guests as well too, John. So hopefully you've provided us with a good headshot. So
Yeah, I think I have. I don't know. Let me know if you
well, if you don't like it, you can just send Phil an email and complain to him.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if I first show here and he doesn't even show up.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
The nerve of that guy, right?
All right, come on,
Okay.
man.
You know what? I think we did great without him, though. I think we might have to, do this more often. We'll see.
Yeah.
This could-
I don't know. What
could
is
be
that?
recurring.
I don't know.
Did you get everybody, Brady?
I think so. Did I miss someone? I don't think I missed anyone.
Okay, just checking.
Mass? Is Mass there? Oh,
Mass, yeah,
no,
Mass.
he's
You
not.
got one? No, he's not. He's not.
You're
Yet.
just asking if Mass
All right.
is there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got listener comments. We had several tweets that mentioned us here this last couple of weeks. At Storm Chaser Ray says, beer. Okay, I respectfully request attendance during the next podcast to discuss beer. I mean, the weather and stuff.
Well, like I said, happy hour is always
That's right.
happening.
It's happy hour all the time. Rob H says, I'm 30 minutes into this episode and Catherine has already boosted the credibility of the show. Awesome
Nice.
guest. So
Nice.
Catherine got a couple shout outs. There's another one coming up. The East Central Indiana Skywarn group says, love the show tonight. First time watching and I'm hooked. Hope to see you at Indianapolis in November. We are on Twitter at ECI Skywarn. And Dan Apgar at WX Geek Dan says, awesome show last night. First time watching your show. Won't be the last. Even live music included. And some of you remember we had live music from Catherine on.
Yes,
our last
Metallica.
episode as
I
well,
loved
so.
it. Yeah.
Wait, really? She had live music?
Yeah,
She
she played.
did.
She played
Yes.
Fade to Black, Metallica.
Oh
for me.
man, I could have had my recorder. Dang it.
Yeah, you missed that.
You always
Oh.
watch it.
Oh,
No,
now,
wait,
hey, now we're opening the door, right? Since people are allowed to play live music on here, I think.
I should have brought my favorite weather song of all, "The
Yes.
Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald."
Oh yeah,
We all
absolutely.
know that one, don't we? I know.
That's
the
from
reason
my
I'm
neck.
here.
That's from my neck of the woods. So
Yeah. So MJ, real quick, I thought
Yes.
I saw where a radio station mentioned us too about the weather fools. What was that? I saw a tweet or something about that.
I'm sorry. Yes,
Are we
I was
getting
gonna.
that
Since we
big?
already talked about it, I was kind of gonna leave that one off. But it was
did?
in
Sorry.
response to your weather fool about the poor kid with the umbrella that almost got hit by the lightning. Mike Seidel had tweeted out something about this, about let that be a lesson that stay indoors, like you say, when it roars, stay indoors. But Radio W9LW Weather, who is Jay Farlow, I believe, retweeted that and said, "This is truly scary. Were he not a child, I'd probably call him a Darwin Award nominee or a Stormfront Freaks podcast weather fool."
That was nice.
So he
Yay.
did mention us. That, yeah. So
Nice.
That was cool.
sorry, I'm glad you mentioned that. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Cool. All right.
Well, that about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast and Stormfront Freaks Raw. And Brady, I agree. I think we did okay.
I agree as well. I
Phil
guess
who? Phil who?
Phil, hey Phil, if you're listening to this, submit some listener feedback. We'd love to hear from you, Phil.
He actually, I will tell you who actually did chime in on the YouTube chat. So
Oh, really?
he did.
Yep. Oh my.
And if you want,
Oh, he's watching Brady.
Oh
His-
jeez. Oh
his
crap.
his first comment was, "Who lets these people broadcast?"
I don't think I'm gonna be on next week. I think I'm gonna get a call from him this week. He's gonna kick me off.
So thank you everyone for listening and watching. Please take the time to leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. Special thanks tonight to our guest, John Gordon. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome,
Yeah, thanks,
John.
John.
Thanks so much, John. It was
Thank you.
great.
Enjoyed it.
Awesome. And our next episode in 2 weeks, recording live on November 16th, will be our holiday shopping episode, or our holiday shopping extravaganza, with reviews and giveaways of some great weather gifts from WeatherX, Eaton, Sanjean, Alex Brands, and weatherproshop.com. So you do not want to miss that. Plus, we'll be sharing some great holiday weather-themed drink recipes from Jess and Jen Bartend. So again, you don't want to miss that one. Be sure to click subscribe on your podcast app to be notified when it's available. Go to stormfrontfreaks.com or our YouTube channel at youtube.com/stormfrontfreaks if you would like to watch it live. So for Brady, Kim, Chris, and John, I'm signaling the all clear, and we will catch you next time.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace.
John.
Take care, guys. Enjoyed it.
Thanks, John. You were
All
awesome.
right, thanks, John. That was awesome. That was
Bye-bye.
very
Take care. Bye, Kim.
I'll see you. Bye. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, thanks, guys, for holding up the show.
Good
Yeah,
show.
thank you. You did great. You did great,
We
MJ.
all did great. Everyone did
Man,
great.
if that live thing went off, I would say all kinds of things about Phil right now, but I guess I can't. because-
That's right.
Wait, he's like, oh, I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna type on YouTube right now.
Well, he hasn't said anything lately, so maybe he's not watching anymore. I don't know.
Phil's too sleepy. He's an old man. He doesn't have any hair. He's asleep right now.
Oh, Chris. That's,
Probably snoring. Has a cat on his lap.
Oh, I'm
Well, he's
sure.
got one of those machines. Those General Grievous machines, as I like to call it. My dad has the sleep apnea.
Oh, yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
I hope it helps him. You know, that's
I hope it- oh my gosh, Kim's like just assumes that it's true.
I don't know.
Fake news. Fake news.
Fake news, Brady.
So true, sir. I have no idea if that was true or not. It for sure could be false.
I know. I was just
This is how nasty rumors get started, Brady. I can't believe you said that Phil has cancer and that's why he wasn't on the show tonight.
Oh,
Oh, no, it's bad. No, I'm kidding.
Not true,
He's
everyone.
still recovering